The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys! This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's an off-season edition of Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. Welcome in, everybody, as we are ready to attack this 2025 off-season with a heavy heart and with a little extra. I don't even know. Maybe a little extra juice, because this is going to be an interesting offseason, to say the least. We've got Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Tommy Yarrish with Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans.
It's going to be a ride.
Yeah, buckle up. Here we go.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yep. I mean, this is going to be an offseason that is not for the faint of heart. The Cowboys have relatively zero cap room and don't seem super happy about their options of finagling that cap room. And by the way, they've got to make a decision on their head coach moving forward. So, lots to talk about.
Yeah, lots a little bit on the docket there. But
yeah. How's everybody doing? Everybody
Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Had some
little chilly
fun
coming in.
Yeah, oh yeah. That hawk has arrived.
Dude, low
and it's
20s.
It's bringing carry-on luggage this coming weekend. What, man?
No, it was Tommy. That was Tommy.
I didn't say anything.
That one's on Tommy.
No, it is
Tommy's
crispy.
As a northerner, it is very cold.
Yeah, you're from Chicago.
Yeah, born
home of the
and
Bears. Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, we will.
21 degrees is 21 degrees no matter where you are.
Oh,
the only
100%.
thing I would say is that different for
Wind chill.
Chicago because wind chill. But
Right.
like we talked about a few days ago, that wind that ushered this front end, that was very Chicago-like wind.
Yeah,
where
no,
it was
it
like,
is.
yeah.
buggy.
And the snow that's about to hit too is very.
Did you see we're expected to get
Chicago-wise.
7 inches of snow?
Yeah.
I've seen variations.
I've seen 1 to 4.
I
And
saw
then, like,
1
all
to
of a sudden
4,
that's impressive.
and I saw
Like, what the
7.
heck?
I even
seen
saw
7.
a graphic of 8 to 12. I'm like, I don't
Yeah, that was over like a couple days.
Yeah.
That graphic up at the top, it's like
Right.
over 3 or 4 days, but still, I mean,
Either
that's-
way.
8 to 12 is.
Believe it when I see it is how I'm kind of seeing it because
Listen,
there have been
don't
plenty
because
go-
you're from
don't go
Chicago
bait.
and you know what real snow looks like.
Don't go pissing off Mother Nature.
No.
We-
I'm not
we
trying
can
to.
believe
I'm
it
not trying to
without
upset
seeing
Mother
it.
Nature at all. I'm just saying there have been many a time in this Lone Star State where, the weather experts say, "Hey, it's going to snow X, Y, Z amount," and then you get flurries, and that's it. Regardless, everybody, stay safe when you're driving. Be careful of ice,
Good luck
and
with
please
that.
don't get hurt.
Meteorologist Tommy Yarrish joining us here on Talking
You
Cowboys.
You have a meteorologist vibe.
I
I
can
could
see
see
that.
you doing it.
We
gotta get you to
Pointing at a
stop
green
wearing-
screen and doing the things.
We got to get you to stop wearing button-ups to Talking Cowboys. That's the next step
Why's
in the
that?
right direction. You look
Making
great.
everybody
look
is
bad.
Very
Yeah.
Cowboys
Oh,
break.
okay. Well,
That's very Cowboys break. Right? We got to get fast and loose in here. You got to loosen up.
very
Tommy, I
special
like your
edition.
button-ups. Don't
Thank
listen
you.
to them.
Thank
man.
you, Josh.
It's
Do
hard
your
to say
thing.
it with your chest when you're here with it.
Nah, man.
You got
Yeah,
one
still-
guy on one side of the table wearing a button-up, and the other guy on the other side of the table wearing a Nightmare on Elm Street T-shirt.
If anything,
It's
just
all about
undo
diversity.
one of them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Give us a little more neck. You know?
more neck.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
He's even got an undershirt on.
He's got the chain on.
There are kids watching.
I'm just saying, dude.
Don't worry, Mike's blocking it
That's
out.
cool. You
Does
want a little more neck,
does
it's
the
fine.
chain have a number on it?
It does. It's
What number is that?
It's 28 for my girlfriend's softball. number.
Let's go. That's a supporting
That's
boyfriend
serious.
I like
Tigers.
right now.
I love that.
We're going to talk about that after the show.
Young
All right. Cowboys fall in their final game of the regular season.
Vote for Darren Woodson.
23-19. Vote for Darren Woodson.
Woodson,
Please
yeah.
do so.
Do it.
28. Yep. That's why you wear the necklace. You're trying to get
Exactly.
Darren into Canton.
Well played.
Reaction from Washington. Cowboys fall 23-19 in the final seconds of the 2024 season. It was a bummer way to end it. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that were upset about it at the end of the day. It was a game going into it. We all talked about it. It was a chance to evaluate. Got to see Trey Lance quite a bit. Got to
Yes,
see Jonathan
finally.
Mingo. Got to see Deuce Vaughn.
Finally.
Yeah. You got to see all these guys play a little extra snaps up front. And I thought you still got what you needed to out of that game. you had a chance to win it against a playoff team that played their starters for the first half, made some switches in the second half, and honestly, you played really well against their starters in the first half with your reserves and your depth. So lots to come out of that. Your thoughts after the loss?
Well, first and foremost, I think that Mike Zimmer might be kryptonite to Jaden Daniels. Maybe. I mean, outside of the Terry McLaurin pass late in the first matchup, he's more or less shut down Jaden Daniels. It took Marcus Mariota entering the game for the Commanders to have any kind of juice offensively.
You could tell he was trying to
he absolutely was.
He had a vendetta.
He absolutely was.
He was trying to make something happen.
So interesting there. That was a big takeaway for me is like, as much as some other defensive coordinators have been trying to figure out Jaden Daniels, Mike Zimmer's had his number from day one. So intriguing, and I wouldn't, mind putting that in the category of pros versus cons as far as if you're going to bring Zimmer back. He clearly has the number of the franchise quarterback of a rival you're going to play multiple times a year for the next several years. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to circle to Trey Lance. Finally, we get not only Trey Lance as a starter, we get a full game to evaluate Trey Lance. I've been standing here pleading for months now to see it.
What? You've never said that.
I know, man.
Just kidding.
Burn all the receipts. I saw good and I saw bad from Trey Lance, which was expected. I didn't expect that he would go out there and light up the scoreboard to the tune of 41 points, Josh.
Hey,
But I would have liked
if
to
those
see
were
it.
touched instead of field goals, you might have
had a shot.
Might have been a little closer to 41.
So maybe punch it in when you have goal to go on more than just one occasion.
I know.
Out of the several chances.
You got into the red zone quite a few times.
You did.
Just did not deliver.
He used his legs, which we knew was going to happen. Looked great doing so. Some of his throws were more crisp than I expected. He had some good accuracy in that first half.
Had some zip.
He had some good accuracy, some anticipation from some of those throws. But in the second half, when he was tasked with applying touch to those passes, it reared its head again, which is that's what he's been struggling with. And I've been saying this since training camp. We've talked about it since training camp. When it comes to those fades, which is why I couldn't understand why the Cowboys kept calling the fades.
And then, I mean, I know it was just a mistake, but the one to Rico Dowdle in the end zone, I felt so bad for Trey.
That was an error.
Like,
but you know what helps with those reps?
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
You just throw it more.
So much for that. What can you do? So,
come on.
Kudos to Trey. I mean, was it perfect? Absolutely not. We didn't expect that it would be, but he did show me. I can honestly sit here and say he showed me enough and free agency is a two-way street, so he would have to want to come back.
Yeah.
But from a front office standpoint, based on that game, I would be willing to welcome him back at a reasonable price for that QB2 battle for 2025.
QB2.
That second point is very important. Reasonable price.
Reasonable price.
Yeah, of course.
That's very, very true. I think I'm there too. The timing was one of the things, Josh, I'm sure you'll allude to this too, but the timing was off a bit in some of the throws. Whenever it comes to the cannon that he has, doesn't matter. It's still going to happen. Like he's still got arm velocity. He's got the accuracy at times. Anytime you've got a finesse. He doesn't have that element to his game. And the timing is a part of that.
But I will say Jonathan Mingo had his best game as a Cowboy.
What do you know?
That's what happens when you get a good pass.
I mean,
it's more than one.
Exactly. And
Devontae Turpin did some things too.
To me, it felt like Trey Lance had more juice, overall, than what Cooper Rush was bringing you. Granted, you're getting more of a conservative, I don't want to say bus driver flippantly, but that's kind of what you get from a Cooper Rush, right? Yeah. And we talked about it several times where you're not seeing the zip on Cooper Rush's throws, whereas for Trey Lance, you were seeing him throw the ball down the field. You were getting multiple opportunities for guys like Devontae Turpin, multiple opportunities for guys like Jonathan Mingo. There was juice there. And I would have killed to have seen that develop over several games versus one single game.
Nice.
However, if you're Trey Lance, do you... now we're talking free agency, right?
We are talking free agency now.
If you are Trey Lance, do you not feel like you might have a better shot staying here at QB2 than restarting with a brand new coaching staff? I don't know. Starting over.
Good point there.
In a
way
new team.
Way to catch yourself.
I know, right? And maybe a new coaching staff to begin with anyways. So I don't know. I just feel like build on this, man.
To answer your question, and I'll throw it to Tommy, if I'm Trey Lance, I'm gone.
Really?
For a couple reasons. One, if I were literally Trey Lance, I'm looking at it as you finally gave me the start in Week 18. However, why not give me the opportunity when we were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs?
Sure.
Even if it was, not a little bit more than a package here or there, but 0 reps is crazy. But also, when you consider the fact that in speaking with Trey Lance after the game and going into this offseason, though when I asked him, he did say he is still not focused on free agency. So as recently as right after the game, he was like, I'm still right where I am. I need to do some reflection on the season. But he also said he's looking forward to an opportunity. That stuck with me because the question then becomes the opportunity to be what? Is it an opportunity to remain a QB2 and maybe be someone's QB3 if they don't feel like they want to compete you with the QB2? If it's for a chance, even a remote chance to be QB1, that's not happening here. So if I'm Trey Lance and that opportunity that I'm looking for is at least I don't want to say fair, but at least an open opportunity to battle for QB1 somewhere, I'm going.
Really quickly, if you are another team. I mean, granted, maybe we're too close to the Cowboy situation of it all, but I don't think he has a QB1 opportunity anywhere.
I'm not saying he has a.
And I don't think anybody takes a mulligan on like the one game that he gave you to say, oh, well, let's give him a shot at QB1. I think his best course of action would be to stay. But then again, I am very biased.
But I see what you're saying. So let me clarify. I mean, contextually speaking. So from a Trey Lance standpoint, if he's talking about an opportunity to compete for QB1, not necessarily right off the bat because he's not going to have this influx of NFL teams that are beating down his door in free agency. No. Let's be clear on that. But if it's a situation,
might be 2 or 3, and maybe,
and if it is those 2 or 3, you look at those 2 or 3, and you look at the starting QB situation, and you say, is that a Dak Prescott? Is that a Patrick Mahomes? Is that a Tua? If the answer is no, is that a CJ Stroud? If the answer is no, then you have a chance. You go in knowing that you're likely QB2 in those 2 or 3 situations, but you have your eye open to say, I can probably beat out QB1.
But are you looking at Dak Prescott in terms of health, saying like, hey,
that's a conversation.
It's a different conversation. And I mean, the contract for Dak has him here for
of course
ever, but you could look elsewhere and say, okay, is that an aging quarterback too? Are these guys that are on their way out?
That's what I mean.
Bad example because he's an unrestricted free agent, but let's say Aaron Rodgers returns to New York.
But that's a good example.
And then he returns to New York, and then there's a second opportunity at the quarterback spot there. Maybe Trey Lance goes up there. You've got next up.
Guaranteed.
I don't know if Trey Lance has earned that opportunity yet from an NFL-wide standpoint. I'm curious to see what you think.
I don't think so, and I don't think he put enough on tape on Sunday to warrant that either. I think you guys make good points. When I look at Trey Lance, this is a guy who has not played a lot of football in his career.
No.
When you think back to his days in college,
I was gonna say even his college,
and in the NFL now, this is a guy who, simply put, is very raw, and that's why Dallas took him, because they wanted to see what could happen when they baked him a little bit and see what the product was. I don't think it was an awful product on Sunday, and I don't think that he's just been sitting there raw this entire time. I think there has been some development during his time here, but when you look at that game on Sunday, like Patrick said, there was good, there was bad. Easy passes like the end zone that he underthrows, you've got to make those. You just have to make those. I thought there were some instances where he had running room in front of him. I mean, all we've talked about with adding Trey Lance to the fold at quarterback has been using his legs.
That sack he took in the second half?
He's got 6 carries for 26 yards. I think he could have easily had 50, 55, 60 yards in this game if he tucks a couple more and takes off.
Yeah.
And so that QB2 opportunity, I don't know if it's here, because I think Cooper Rush gives you the better opportunity to win as a backup quarterback, because he's already done it for you. It's not fun football all the time, because it's more of just a manage the game, push the ball downfield, stick to the script type deal. But if it's winning you football games, that's what he's done. And until he proves you otherwise, I don't know why.
Unless it's Philadelphia.
And also really quickly.
Unless it's Philadelphia.
To that Cooper Rush point, Cooper Rush has already felt what it's like to be on a different team, and I don't think he wants to go through that again.
That didn't happen very well.
Right. He's extremely comfortable here. Even if there's a change of head coach, the quarterback is still Dak Prescott, and they have a great relationship. And Cooper Rush is going to likely accept the veteran minimum to remain here. So that sounds delicious for a front office that's pushing the cap issue as something to contend with.
It's also a front office that's trying to prove that the 4th round pick that they sent to San Francisco was worth it at the same time. So there's elements to both
if they
ends
were
of it.
really trying to prove that, he would have started.
Started a
played
long
more.
time ago.
Yeah.
I agree. Trust me. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I will say I think there are a lot of situations where Trey Lance can really excel.
Sure.
I just don't know if it's here.
And that's where I am with it.
Yeah.
So if I'm Trey Lance, that's how I feel. I don't know if this is the right fit for me.
A couple things to add there. I think based off of what we saw on Sunday, Trey Lance is an NFL quarterback.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. He is an NFL quarterback.
Just not a starter.
Not a starter. That's kind of in where we are. There's still that possibility because there were flashes of it. And there's always the athleticism side of things too that I think you have to keep in mind. You bring up a great point, the timidness to run. I wish Isaiah was here for this because Isaiah was a dual threat quarterback in his own right, and he was talking about it on Sunday when we were watching the game. He was saying, I think they have told him they want to see him as a passer. He's like, because when you're a running quarterback and you're told all your life going up into the NFL, run when you need to, run when you need to, run when you need to. Then you get to the NFL and you face guys that are much more athletic than what you've seen in the past. And they say, we need you to stop running. Your instincts go away.
Yeah.
There were a couple times, you go back on film, there was the sack that he took.
Yeah,
where he
statued
up, but then you could see there was a moment. There's a moment in his head where the instincts kicked in. He took a step. But then he sat down.
And I was pissed.
And he sat in it.
And I was furious.
So there are times in that game, and you can go back and watch it. Go find the film, where he takes a step and that instinct is there. You could see it, run, but he pulls back.
And then you hear the coach's voice in his
correct, because he's being told, we want to see what you can do as a pocket passer in the NFL against defenses, against pass rush. How do you avoid it? Did a great job on the play, the Rico Dowdle, to avoid the pass rush. He was swarmed behind the line of scrimmage, had a brilliant move. That was Trey Lance. I was like, this is the play.
Yes.
And then it just fluttered to the ground, and it was unfortunate. So that's the microcosm. If you could take the entirety of Trey Lance's NFL career, both in San Francisco and in Dallas right now, put it into one play, it would be that Rico Dowdle play. Athleticism, talent, vision, all sorts of upside,
everything.
But then it just still doesn't click, and it still doesn't happen. So I'm interested. He's one of the more intriguing storylines going into the offseason, and an offseason full of storylines. But it's interesting because he could be one of those guys. I mean, we're looking at across the NFC playoff picture right now. How many of those guys that are currently quarterbacks in the playoff picture right now are thrown away by their not original teams, but other teams along the way? You've got Jared Goff as the number 1 seed. You've got Sam Darnold as a possible MVP conversation. You've got Baker Mayfield, who was on the Carolina Panthers backing up Andy Dalton like a year and a half ago. There's all of these things that are playing a factor. I don't know if I'm ready to give up on Trey Lance just yet.
And you shouldn't be.
No, as a team, he's shown he's worth further development.
Yes.
As a player, if I'm Trey Lance, I just got to feel like there's a potentially better fit somewhere else.
Maybe. And maybe a better price, too.
If they're telling him not to run at all costs, I think that you're cutting him off at the knees.
You're selling him short.
That is just
that sack
not
he took.
the way to
I
go.
almost jumped out of the press box window. Like, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. He had the green there, and if he takes that, he's probably on the 1 yard line in his 4th and short. Now we've seen how that happened, but nonetheless, maybe you scored. Whatever the case, don't stat you up in that situation. And that's a good point. Go back and look at the film. He stuttered and then stood back up, and I'm.
You're taking away one of the reasons you have him on the team. One of the reasons he exists as a player.
The reason he was the second most impressive quarterback in that game was because look at what Marcus Mariota did with his legs.
Came out right.
Plain and simple. Marcus Mariota did a good thing
also
through
made
his
the
errors.
throws.
He made some great throws. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, he was definitely playing like he doesn't want to be a backup.
Play of his game was the 4th and 1 that he took off on the read option. And he was out of there.
That was crazy.
That's what you can do with Trey Lance.
It's basically so Mariota versus Trey Lance. It was the battle of free agency backups. That's basically because they were both battling to try to make themselves valuable in a few weeks.
Marcus Mariota is a QB2. Yes, he did. Marcus Mariota is a QB2 with starter upside, whereas Trey Lance is a QB2 with developmental upside. Yeah. That's part of the way I looked at it after that. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, Trey Lance is not the only decision that the Cowboys are going to have to make over the next few weeks and or months. We've got one coming up that's got a deadline of January 14th, and somebody's already knocking on the door to talk to Mike McCarthy. When we come back, what does the coaching situation look like with more Talkin' Cowboys? If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code Cowboys VIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877.
Buy your QR. Wait, was it buy your oats on the internet using the Quaker code in the corner over there?
Bang. There it is.
Yeah.
Presented by Black Rifle Coffee, of course. Got our Black Rifle because we're going to need some of that throughout this offseason. The Chicago Bears had a little Black Rifle coffee up in the Windy City this past weekend.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, early morning hours, the day after the Cowboys were eliminated from the 2024 campaign. The Chicago Bears reported to have asked for permission to talk to Mike McCarthy. They said, we're not going to wait until this January 14th deadline. We would like to throw out a possible request to talk to your head coach now.
Yeah.
Make a decision is what
It's January 6th,
said.
and they're deciding to invade our building. You know what I'm saying?
Down goes the star, baby.
Is that the first time that's happened?
I think so. There's not. I don't know of any other time that could happen.
Oh, man.
But that's exactly what they did. They sent
An insurrection of sorts, you know?
If you will.
trying to talk to our head guy for sure. I'm sorry. I don't even know where to go from here.
Yeah, that's wow.
It'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys use this window of exclusivity to try to hammer out a deal. If they decide that they're going to keep,
no
Mike
way
McCarthy.
they accept it, right?
No, I wouldn't say so, because if you're even considering keeping him around, you use this window in your favor. You don't just let someone invade it and give him permission. No. You wait until January 14th. Let us have our conversation. I know you do, because you want the decision made like yesterday
or last week or whatever it is.
And I'm with you.
And he's on record saying that should have happened last week.
Should have happened.
But I would say, and we've said this on this panel before, when I was naming some teams that, when I said free agency is a two-way street, not just for players but for coaches alike. Yeah. Okay, so for as much as the Cowboys need to decide on Mike McCarthy needs to decide on the Cowboys. Yes, this is not a Jason Garrett situation.
No,
this is not a Jason Garrett situation where there was no interest from any of the other 31
glad you
teams
said that.
as far as the head coaching position is concerned. This is different. Mike McCarthy has actual value. He's come and he reestablished a culture with the Cowboys. playoff culture didn't get reestablished. Fair enough, I agree. But 3 12-5 seasons becomes one of the winningest coaches in Cowboys franchise history. He has the Super Bowl ring shining on his finger. He's shown that he can hit the reset button for your franchise, whatever your franchise might be. That's going to be very intriguing for teams like Jacksonville, New Orleans, and the Chicago Bears. And it just makes sense for me. The New Orleans Saints, he has history there. He's a former OC there. Okay, I don't know that he would deal with what's going on in Jacksonville because Trent Balk is still out there, and that's just a toxic situation. But the Bears intrigue me, and that's why that was the lead horse for a team that would come after McCarthy in my eyes that I said a few weeks ago. Number one, it puts him geographically closer to home. His family is still in Green Bay.
Still has a house up there.
Right. Point number two is that we all know how his time in Green Bay ended. This would give him an opportunity to play against the Bears twice a year for the next several years, right? And then I had a thought. I think I said it to you, Tommy. I said it to someone. If, in fact, the Mikes are a package deal, Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer, to that same point, Mike Zimmer would be going back to the NFC North, and he would get to exercise a vendetta against the Minnesota Vikings for multiple times a year for the next several years. So it's a very intriguing standpoint. I want to get the take of the Chicago native. What's the temperature of your home city as far as possibly bringing McCarthy in?
Well, it's cold.
We know a little something about that right now.
Here's the thing. When I look at this, a couple things. First of all, the Bears have requested 12 head coaching interviews right now.
Yeah, they're
So
look at
this is a wide net.
I've got a list if you want me to list.
They're turning over every rock.
Actually, I would love for you to listen.
Okay, so these are the other interviews that the Bears have requested. Brian Flores, Vikings defensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator, that has been accepted. Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions.
There's
Mike Kafka, Giants OC. Mike McCarthy, Cowboys head coach. Todd Monken, Ravens offensive coordinator. Drew Petzig, Cardinals OC, David Shaw, former Stanford head coach and current Broncos executive, Arthur Smith, Steelers offensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver, Dolphins defensive coordinator, Mike Vrabel, former Titans head coach. That one has also been scheduled.
Man.
Yeah, so I think Ben Johnson's probably the leader in the clubhouse there.
Probably.
When I look at the situation, I understand why the Cowboys right now aren't accepting that because he's still under that period until the 14th. I think they'd be doing Mike McCarthy a massive disservice if they were to go through this next 7 days and not have any intention of bringing him back.
Fair.
I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's something to keep an eye on. So the fact that nothing has
Couldn't agree more, Tommy.
The fact that nothing has been accepted tells me, at least, that there's interest in retaining Mike McCarthy as head coach. So the other part of this is, when you look at the fit in Chicago, my thing is, are the Bears going to be willing to bring somebody who, frankly, owned them for a majority of a decade plus to try and turn turn the franchise around? I think Mike McCarthy would be a good fit in Chicago because he's got a track record of developing quarterbacks.
Yep.
Caleb Williams,
He's a blue collar guy in a blue collar city.
Right. He's gotten comparisons to Aaron Rodgers. He's said he's idolized Aaron Rodgers and how he tries to play the game. So that's there, but I'm not so sure that Mike McCarthy is very high on the list of candidates for them at this point in time.
Yeah.
Because when you think about the Bears in the past, too, they've always been a defense-heavy franchise. That's been their bread and butter. They want to play good defense, and they want to run the football.
How's that worked for them since '85?
It hasn't worked well at all. Yeah. So, like I said, I think Ben Johnson's the leader in the clubhouse, but they're also just casting a wide net. So it doesn't shock me at all that McCarthy's on that list. And I'm sure there will be other teams that throw their hat in the Mike McCarthy circle, but at least from right now, with nothing at all being said about, we've granted Mike McCarthy the permission to do this interview, that tells me that there's interest in bringing him back.
It just sounds like they're turning over every rock, which is what they should do.
That's
when you're
exactly
in a position
what
of
they
need,
should do.
when you're in a position of trying to rebrand the identity of your team, possibly, I think that's a great way to go about it. But you said, Mike McCarthy basically owned Chicago Bears for a good time whenever he was with the Packers. The Cowboys were in a similar situation,
I was
too.
about to say.
I mean,
he won a Super Bowl.
Here. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers did a lot of unkind things to the Dallas Cowboys with Mike McCarthy as coach. So we were sort of in a situation where we were like, okay, if you can't beat him,
Get him.
Yeah, get him. Exactly. Bring him on. Bring him on. But then again, you have to consider Mike McCarthy's record against the Packers since leaving the Packers has not been great, man. He's not performed very well, especially a certain wild card game from last season.
I don't want to talk about that.
Stop it!
And you can make an argument that the NFC North is the toughest division in football right now.
Now, yes.
See, but that's you got to keep that in mind too in a different way. Things ebb and flow in the NFL all the time. Right now, right this second, the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers are just all juggernauts, and they're beating up on each other, and they're beating up on the Bears, and they're beating up on all the other teams in the NFC. But within 4 to 5 years, when you've got a fully developed Caleb Williams, you've got a fresh roster of young talent and guys that you can go get. They have some salary cap room too. Keep that in mind. Cowboys
salary crap.
I thought you were
the
going
Cowboys.
I was hoping
I was going to let it
that.
slide. Salary. That's what it is in Dallas right now. But
That's why I circle back.
So the
headline.
fact that Mike has already been told by the front office, the same way Stephen Jones has told everybody else, we don't have money to spend this offseason, which is true. They are strapped in terms of the salary cap. When you get to the salary cap in Chicago, it's not nearly as bad. It's not perfect either. It's about halfway. But you've got some room to move. You've got a young quarterback. And at some point, you will be that juggernaut.
But you know what you don't have in Chicago? You don't have an established all-pro quarterback with still some years left. Not yet, but not yet.
He's built two of them already.
What does Kyle Youmans always say? Right?
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened.
You're right.
Right.
But he's built two of them. You got to give him credit. He built Dak Prescott into an all-pro.
Fair.
And he helped build Aaron Rodgers
Who's their
into
CD
an all-pro.
Lamb?
Well, I mean, they have it.
Who's their Micah Parsons?
Or Keenan Allen.
Who's their DeMarvion Overshown?
I mean, all
You
those.
see, so they have a couple of pieces.
Right.
No, I understand.
So now, and what we're doing is POV
He's not in a
from
win
McCarthy.
now mode.
So we're doing it from a POV from McCarthy right now, folks. Is what we're saying right now. So if you're McCarthy, these are some things that you're weighing, and I'm not saying that he would waive off Chicago because they don't have as many of the cornerstone pieces as the Cowboys have. But it is a rightful conversation for a guy who has so many years in the league, and you have to start wondering at this point. And this is fair. Wonder how many more years McCarthy wants to coach in the league, right? So maybe he feels like and this is just speculative, maybe he feels like he doesn't want to do a hard reset with a particular team or any particular team. So these are all things that McCarthy is going to mull in his head, is what I'm saying.
And it goes back to what Tommy said. This is all speculative if he's even the choice in Chicago.
Right. I agree.
There's 12 other
candidates
names there.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, that's 1A and 1B on anyone's list who's looking for a head coach.
For sure.
And then the rest includes McCarthy as like in the group of
the
B.
conversation.
Tier B.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Mike's still got a lot left in the tank, and I think he takes pride in being a builder. He talked about that post game after the Washington game. He really enjoys building a program from the ground up. You could argue he did that in Green Bay. Obviously, they're one of the historic franchises in the NFL. The Bears are too. The issue with the Bears is they've whiffed on their head coaching hires. They've whiffed on their general manager hires, and it's just kind of been a mess. There's never been alignment, I don't think, in Chicago. And some of the draft choices that they've made, like this past year taking, Roma Dunze instead of maybe there's an offensive lineman on the board who could have helped you out there. They had the worst offensive line in the NFL this year. Maybe one of the worst offensive lines of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just terrible to watch. Caleb Williams was one of, if not the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL.
He was the most.
Pretty brutal.
I think it was a record, too.
Aaron Rodgers, I think, was.
Was he?
I think he was the most sacked quarterback.
Here, I'll look it up.
As we are.
One of the two.
Continue your point, Tom.
Regardless of the case, they've got to draft better. There's got to be alignment. It doesn't. They just have to hit this head coaching hire, or else it's just going to be the same sort of cycle that they've gotten themselves into, where you've got your quarterback who is dealing with a new head coach every 2 years. He's dealing with a new GM every year. And that's just, not sustainable for an NFL
Caleb
franchise.
Williams was sacked 16 more times than any other quarterback this year.
Sorry.
You're thinking all time.
All time.
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers,
If I'm
most sacked quarterback of
Chicago,
all time.
now we're POVing from Chicago. If I'm Chicago, I love how they're handling it as far as due diligence, cast a wide net. That's just the wise thing to do. But the possibility of having a chance to cripple the Detroit Lions by pulling away either Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson, blank check.
Intriguing.
You blank check that.
Yeah.
You just slap Ben Johnson a blank check and you
Ben
say,
Johnson
come on over.
should get a blank check.
Come on over.
And they've got the personnel, I think, in Detroit.
What has Ben Johnson done?
What has he done?
What is he doing?
Scoring 40 points a game. Yeah, I think Ben Johnson
designing plays that look really impactful.
I think part of the reason for Ben Johnson's success too is the personnel that he's got, but that is credit to
him.
Again, the way Detroit has built their roster through the draft and through free agency.
I mean, he turned Amon-Ra St. Brown, a 4th-round pick, into one of the top 5 or 6 receivers in the NFL.
But that's what happens when you've got alignment from the top down, and so that's what you need for any NFL franchise. Your owner, general manager, and head coach need to all be on the same page and all be moving forward together when it comes to personnel, coaching hires, and things of that nature.
I could hear so many Cowboys fans right now.
It sounds nice, Tommy.
So allow me to megaphone what fans are thinking as you're saying that. Do you feel that's the situation here in Dallas right now?
Right
for
now,
Mike McCarthy? Do you feel they're in alignment?
If they bring Mike McCarthy back, that shows me that there is alignment, yes. That there is alignment in the sense of, I believe in what you're doing. I believe in what your scheme looks like. I believe in what your personnel decisions look like. That would be my proof of there's alignment. Because you'd be going on to year 6 or year 5?
This would be 6.
Year 6 of the same program, the same way of doing things, and for a majority, the same personnel.
I think for the most part, they have been in alignment, which is why they were 12-5, 12-5, 12-5.
Exactly.
It's pretty aligned.
I think what this season did was expose the part that was misaligned, which is personnel decisions. Depth. Jerry Jones himself, who does a lot of spaghetti talking, right, was very definitive when asked after the game, after the finale, if he regrets the personnel decisions, not giving Mike McCarthy the roster that he feels Mike McCarthy should have had. He said yes. He said that's fair. So when you hear the owner and general manager admitting that the personnel decisions could have been better, maybe they could have attacked free agency a little bit better, maybe they could have done this, could have done that, I think that's the misalignment. So when I pose the question for the fans of, is it like Detroit or can it be like Detroit where there's this straight line going down with no wiggle room? Right now, there's too much wiggle room in that one capacity. I think, what's the word I'm looking for? I think culturally, I think strategically, I think they're all on the same page and they're on the same direction and they're moving in lockstep. But there's that disconnect with personnel as far as who Mike McCarthy would want to see added to the team versus who is not added to the team, and then who's added to the team instead of who Mike McCarthy might want added to the team.
And if they aren't aligned, they will be much maligned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you can.
How long did you sit on that?
He was sitting on it for a while.
45 seconds.
I saw the smirk creeping up. To wrap up that point, you can fix that this offseason.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You definitely can.
But that's a promissory note.
Yeah.
Because that's what you would be signing for Mike McCarthy.
Right.
So if McCarthy decides, if you want him back and he decides to come back, he's basically asking you to sign a promissory note saying, when free agency and the draft arrive, this is what I want.
We've got to be on the same page.
This is what I want.
Right.
Give me what I want.
Batista, give me what I want. So that's
because when he gets what he wants, 12-5 for straight years.
And maybe, and even in those 12-5 seasons, maybe if he got.
There's
come on. Come on.
I want Will.
He's glitching out.
I will say
we only
with my
got
chest,
one show this week.
I want Will McClay to get what he wants in terms of the draft and player personnel.
Oh yeah, the draft.
I could care less what Mike McCarthy wants from a player personnel standpoint, as long as he's able to coach him and get him ready to go. There's been too much, I think, over the last 2 years, coach intervention in the draft process. But I'll talk about that on the draft show at some point down the line.
Like today.
Balance-wise, totally fine. Yeah, there's a draft show coming up at 11. I want, if you're bringing Will McClay back and you're bringing him back for the long haul and Mike McCarthy's back, that's fine. I've already been on record to say it would be a mistake to get rid of Mike McCarthy. I stand by that right now. I don't think he should have the same say that he's had the last couple of years in terms of the draft process.
Fair enough.
Will McClay's got a good track record, so I think I can get on board.
I'm speaking balance because here's what balance gets you. I get what balance means. Gets you a safety position being revamped because of a guy like Dan Quinn.
Sure.
Dan Quinn came in before Dan Quinn. Cowboys couldn't get it right at safety. Dan Quinn comes in. He gets them to reevaluate the importance of the safety position. That's what being in alignment, compromise looks like. When you don't compromise and it's just only giving the scouts what they want, and the coaches can't gel with that personnel, you have a problem. And vice versa. When you give the coaches everything they want, but the scouts aren't really bought in.
But then you'll see a lot of what Mike McCarthy's done where it's like, I don't know what to do with this guy.
Yes.
Like, inactive.
Trey Lance?
See, but I mean, CeeDee Lamb was that was a scout pick.
That's what I'm saying.
CeeDee Lamb was a scout pick. Micah Parsons was a scout pick.
Yes.
DeMarvion Overshone was a Dan Quinn and a scout pick. There have been some other picks that haven't happened. Mike McCarthy wanted to run 12 personnel. That's why you have Luke Schoonmaker in the second round. Plain and simple. They wanted some of those other guys that were above them. You have Luke Schoonmaker because Mike McCarthy wanted Luke Schoonmaker at that point. You've got all these other picks along the way. Trey Smith, scout pick. That was not a Mike McCarthy pick. That was a scout pick.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of those things that in the past, I love Mike McCarthy in terms of what he can bring and make and mold out of what he's given in terms of a football team. We saw that down the stretch of last year, and that's where my respect lines with Mike McCarthy. However, I'm reluctant to give him the keys to the entire bus.
No.
Exactly.
That should never be the
that's what I was
case.
just
Not
making
what
sure.
I'm saying.
I'm making sure that's
Like we're
not
talking
what
about
we're
this
saying.
entire show,
Yeah, no.
alignment.
It's got to be
That's
alignment.
what we're talking
That is
about, meeting
everybody.
right in the middle.
Okay.
Everybody.
To be clear, that's
we're
what
good
we're saying.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. One more break, one more segment here on this week of Talking Cowboys. When we come back, what are the priorities for the Cowboys this offseason? Where do we start in this long journey that we have ahead right after this?
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome back into the show. Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Tommy Yarrish, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans, wrapping up this one and only weekly edition of Talking Cowboys.
I like it.
Do you?
We get to, yeah.
We
get to fit it all in one episode.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
We do get to cram it all into
but then we got to wait for an
45
entire week.
minute.
Yeah.
45 minutes.
Snapshot. Yeah, not 45 minutes.
Don't tease.
We're an hour
Beam
show
with that.
now. All
Beam
right.
was back there like, hell no, you
Yeah,
weren't.
Beam's like the hell with
nah.
45 minutes. You kidding me?
I mean, the next show that we're on has me and Tommy on it, so I guess we're just hurting ourselves at that point. All right, priority this
Self-inflicted
offseason.
wounds?
Yes,
It's
self-inflicted.
It's
It's
the Cowboys way,
move.
baby.
What's your priority this offseason? What's the first domino that needs to fall? And I'm not talking about Coach or Will McClay, so wipe those off the board. We've talked about those enough. What's the one thing outside of front office and or coaching moves that needs to happen?
Retain Jordan Lewis.
Ooh.
Re-sign Jordan Lewis as soon asaptually to steal a phrase from my buddy Patrick here. To me, Jordan Lewis is one of the beating hearts of your defense. You don't have DeMarvion Overshown for the foreseeable future, not until late 2025, according to DeMarvion Overshown. To me, Jordan Lewis is giving you everything. He deserves the bag. He deserves to be on this team. You do not want to lose a guy like Jordan Lewis. To me, that is the guy that will truly get you where you want it.
And that's not going to happen until the league year, right? Free
Yeah,
agency
not until
opens.
tampering starts
Because he's
up,
going to see what
and he
offers are
deserves
out
to.
there.
He deserves to, but just make him priority.
You know, one way you could keep Jordan Lewis and Osa Odigizua. By the way, this is my number one.
Yep.
Extend Micah and do it quickly,
You can do that
promptly,
whenever you
right
want.
now.
Asexually?
Asexually.
I like it.
If
Is that
you
the name of
will.
the show?
Right now, Micah Parsons, in his fifth-year option, he's set to hit the Cowboys cap for over $21 million. Per over the cap, if you extend Micah Parsons right now, you not only don't suffer that $21 million hit, but you get $16.1 million in savings towards your salary cap.
Okay.
They're going to figure it out at the Cotton Bowl.
But
you
see,
know?
but
They're
that's
gonna work out all the X's and O's.
hopefully so, because right now
the
they
Cotton Bowl?
At the Cotton Bowl, they're in the suite together at the Cotton Bowl.
Jerry and
Jerry
Micah.
said he and Micah are going to start
really?
talking. Yeah, seriously, I love it. Get the deal done. Over
Texas and Ohio State.
Hey, get the deal done.
That's
over
the
some
rival
Nachos.
of both of their schools.
Everybody wants to watch Texas.
It's not
play for a national
Arkansas and it's
championship.
not Penn State.
Disagree. Yeah, get the deal done over some nachos, by all means. But currently, the Cowboys have $17 million in available cap space that will roll over to 2025. If you get another $16 million toward that by extending Micah Parsons, this is money that potentially goes to Osa, potentially goes to Jordan Lewis and some of the other guys that you want to retain. You have 22 unrestricted free agents coming up.
Yeah.
And not just Jags. Not just
their names.
These are dogs. Okay, so you want to get that done. Chauncey Golston being another name that comes to mind. So for me, extend Micah Parsons and get them done right now. And I love what Micah said in that he doesn't want to be in the way. Micah wants to get his deal done quickly because he wants that money to go towards helping to build the team. So
Let's hope his agent feels that way.
I'm going to take a moment here and play super duper devil's advocate because I do not want this to happen. I want to preface this, but it has been a conversation. There was even an NFL Network report about it. Would you ever consider trading Micah?
No.
It'd have to be the Herschel Walker trade.
It'd have to be just
blockbuster.
I want your soul. Like if I'm trading Micah Parsons, I want your soul. And if that's a non-starter for you, don't even call me. Don't even call me.
So just play along here. What would it take? What would have to?
The starter conversation is 2 first-round picks.
Okay, so
that's
the
start.
conversation.
That starts the conversation.
But that's not the end.
That's not the end.
No.
Okay.
Because you're going to throw in maybe another mid-rounder and probably a player.
Let's see.
Of my pick.
I'm gonna cook
Two
something up
within reason. So.
Okay, so you said no very quickly. Are you completely out on that forever?
Look at what happened to this defense when he came back.
Oh no, I agree.
See,
That's why I said I want your soul.
Who
but
else is gonna do
Kyle
that?
wants us to play along.
I'm trying to
So
play
you
a
have to
devil's
play
advocate
along.
I'm
here,
not
guys.
playing at all. Don't trade him.
Oh, that's not fair. Come on, Tommy.
Call me no fun. You can't.
3 1s and Patrick Mahomes. We'll see.
There's nobody with multiple ones this year, at least at the moment. So
Listen,
I mean,
I want your soul. But Kyle wants me to play along. If I'm to play along, that's my price. But I'm not playing along in real life. So
Yeah.
in real
Arial
life, just
bold
extend it.
72 font. No.
Yeah, just
let's
extend it.
say I'm trying to think. I don't even know who would
Would you
have
trade
to get
Lawrence
there.
Taylor?
Let's say Jacksonville. Jacksonville's trying to make a statement. They've already got one edge rusher in Walker on the outside that they feel really confident in. They've got a quarterback. They don't have to have their 5th overall draft pick this year. Jacksonville comes, they offer you 5 this year, and they offer you 2 future first-round picks. Would you do it? Would you think about it? That's 3 first-round picks and a top 5 for sure this year. And you get to
3
keep your current
first-round picks.
You get to keep 12 too, where you picked Micah back in 2021.
That's a no for me, dog.
My answer is still no, but I haven't hung up the phone yet either.
Okay. What about those 3 first, and we'll
Stop
throw
it,
in.
Kyle. Stop it. Stop it.
We're just trying to get
We'll
him out
throw
of
in a
here.
receiver.
Stop
Who's their
it.
top receiver?
Stop
I don't
it.
even know.
Stop it.
So no, I'm there too.
Brian
I don't
Thomas
wanna,
Jr.
Okay, second receiver. They're not trading him.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah. They throw in Christian
No.
Kirk too, a veteran
No.
receiver that you could possibly use.
No.
Come on.
No.
No.
Okay.
I don't like this game anymore. The answer's no.
I agree. I
No.
don't want
Just
it to
extend
happen.
him, get the money, use the money,
All right.
and let's cook.
Where's your priority, Tommy?
I think they need to have a good draft. When I look back at this past year's draft, there's some good picks there. Cooper Beebe had a fantastic season. I like what Marshawn Nealon did when healthy. Maris Leafau's got a really bright future. Still unclear of what Tyler Guyton looks like.
Yes.
Still very unclear on what that looks like. I'd like to see him get a full training camp in, be fully healthy, and it might be, shuffling him around and seeing if maybe there's a spot where he plays better. Bottom line is I'm a believer in that you put your best 5 out there.
Yes.
Regardless of, you can't be too strict in assigning certain spots. You got to have your best 5 out there. So I'm looking at a better draft this time around and seeing if, not to say that this past draft was something you just completely dump away. It's only been one season. Yeah. And, Ryan Flanoy, Nathan Thomas, Justin Rogers Kalen Carson even still have time to
Justin Rogers
develop.
Is back.
He is back. Still have time to prove something. But after these rookie seasons, only 3 of your picks really standing out. I think you got to be better this time around,
and all with some level of question marks around them.
Exactly, which is typical for rookies.
Very typical.
Again, don't take this as me being overly critical.
Yeah,
but I think you got to be much stronger this time.
By the way, Marshawn Nealon, scout pick, and Maris Leofow, scout pick. So just keep that in mind.
We have to have that conversation for the 2023 draft class.
What was that?
The 2023 draft class. I'm interested, not now, but down the road, scout picks
who
versus coaching picks, because that class didn't.
Yeah, we can talk about that. All right.
More draft talk next, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Come on.
Stay tuned. We've got the draft show. First episode will be out. If you're listening to this in post, it'll probably already be out on DallasCowboys.com. But we're going to the draft show. Tommy Yarrish is going to be on the draft show this year, baby.
Looking forward to it, man. I'm really excited.
Another member of the Talkin Cowboys family, Nick Harris, returns. You've got Brian Broaddus. You've got Foch Lombardi. You've got Zach Wolchuk, Bobby Belt. We've got it's basically the Avengers of draft coverage.
It's an elite show.
It's going to be fun. So
great show.
Let's get it going. We've got the draft show coming up, but that does it for us here on Talkin Cowboys, presented by Black Rifle Coffee. We will be back next Tuesday. This is our normal time, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Time. For Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, Tommy Yarrish, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long. We'll see you next week on Talkin Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?